In the year 2023, a French film called Acide was released. The story depicts a horrific aspect of global warming. What will happen when the sky starts raining acid instead of water? We will find out in this story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. The film starts in France, showing video footage of a strike where an accident occurs in a factory, badly injuring many workers. The rest of the factory workers confront the owner, demanding justice, but he refuses to take responsibility. The situation escalates, and the workers start rioting, clashing with the police. Michael's girlfriend Karen is also a victim of the factory accident, prompting Michael to violently attack a policeman. This incident is recorded, leading to Michael's arrest. He is released, but is confined to his house for several months with an ankle monitor. Michael is divorced. His ex-wife's name is Alice, and they have a daughter named Selma. Selma is very troubled by her parents' divorce. Michael now loves Karen, who has severely injured feet from the factory accident. These days, Selma is primarily under Alice's care and attends boarding school, where she enjoys horse riding. One day during her horse riding class, Selma sees some children laughing at her father's viral video. Furious, she attacks one of them, placing a horse's vest over his face and insulting everyone. Alice is called to the school, and after speaking with the principal, becomes very concerned about Selma. Although Selma is not expelled, she remains very upset and irritated. Selma insists on staying with her father that night. At Michael's house, they watch news about severe rainstorms in Latin America, caused by pollution and global warming, which have killed thousands of animals. There is also a warning that this acid rain could reach Europe. Michael advises Selma not to watch such news. The next day, Selma returns to her mother Alice's house. It rains that day, and Selma's window is left open, letting in some water. Alice places a towel on the floor to dry it, but after a while, the towel starts to change color because the rainwater contains some acid. The next day, it does not rain, but the sky remains cloudy. News reports start coming in about acid rain injuring many people and animals. People stay glued to the news. Michael goes to work and notices the wet, sticky ground, which he finds strange. Alice, a nurse, goes to her work, and Selma heads to school. In the afternoon, news alerts warn of potential rain in their area, advising everyone to stay indoors. Alice, worried, calls Michael, wanting to pick Selma up from school before the rain starts. All the students' cell phones had been collected, so Alice cannot call her. With little time left, Michael takes his car, picks up Alice, and they both rush to the school. They learn that the children have gone to the jungle for horse riding and left their phones behind. They quickly head to the jungle, but traffic is jammed as other parents also rush to save their children. The police block the way due to the black clouds in the sky. Michael, desperate to find his daughter, gets out of the car and runs towards the jungle on foot. Meanwhile, it is shown that Selma, not being very good at horse riding, is left behind by the other children. A few drops of acid rain had fallen near Selma. The wood on the ground was burning, and it also started hurting the horses. The frightened horses began to run, and Selma fell off. Michael reached the stable, frantically searching for his daughter. The horses standing there were very scared. Michael ran outside, and Selma was also coming in his direction. Fortunately, they found each other quickly and made it back to the stable just as the rain began. A few drops were dripping from the ceiling. It was acid, burning the ground clearly. Michael searched for a blanket to cover himself and Selma. He managed to contact Alice, informing her of their location. Despite the heavy rain making visibility difficult, Alice found the building and parked the car so that Michael and Selma could get inside. As they returned to the road, they heard screams. People were burning due to the acid rain. The road was jammed and cars were stuck. Alice turned the car right, navigating through the chaos, but there were cars everywhere. A man with a burnt face tried to get into their car, but Michael, despite being kind-hearted, had to kick him out and lock the door. Once they found a clear path, they drove away, pushing any obstructing cars out of the way. Selma was terrified, and the paint on the roof was peeling. Her mental state was deteriorating. After some time, the rain stopped, but the area was devastated. Many people were killed, and much was destroyed. They stopped in a supermarket parking lot, using clothes and blankets to cover themselves and the car. Alice called her brother for help, but he couldn't assist because the roads were closed. Michael was worried about his girlfriend, Karen, but his calls went to voicemail. For the next few hours they drove, trying to leave the country, as many others were. In the evening, the car sustained damage from the acid rain. The back door was jammed, and Selma tried to open it from the inside, kicking it repeatedly. The smell of acid was pervasive, and Michael tried to prevent her from breathing it in. Eventually, the door opened and Selma got out. They abandoned the car and walked ahead. As evening fell, they entered a building, feeling disheartened. Preparations had been made there, but those who made them could not celebrate. A cat was eating the food left behind. Selma wanted to pick up the cat, but Michael warned her not to, fearing it might have acid on its fur. After a while, Michael managed to contact Karen, and he was relieved to know she was safe. However, all the patients were being moved to another location, and the call was cut off when the signal failed. When Michael wanted to drink water, he was unsure if it was safe due to potential acid contamination. He filled a plastic container with water and placed it in front of the cat. If the cat reacted badly, it meant the water was unsafe, which was a grim situation. Because Michael was feeding a poor cat, Selma got very angry. She immediately poured the water down the sink. They found some water bottles in the fridge. Michael also found some oil, which he planned to put on his shoes to protect them from melting quickly due to the acid. Later, he discovered that the container in which he had filled the tap water had melted, indicating that the tap water was not safe. Now, all they had to drink was alcohol, and some food was brought for the party. Selma was worried because they were heading north, hoping to avoid the dangerous rain, but she doubted they could make the journey on foot. As they discussed the journey, Michael and Alice argued. Michael got angry, broke a glass, and walked away. In the middle of the night, while they were sleeping, the sound of water dripping from weak spots in the roof disturbed them. It wasn't water, but acid. Selma, unable to sleep, looked for the cat and found blood leading to the cat's dead body. It had died from the water Michael had given it, making Selma very sad. Worried, she went to sleep with her mother. The next morning, the family started their journey on foot. It wasn't raining yet, and many people were also walking, trying to leave the area. As time passed, the crowd grew. To get out, everyone had to cross a bridge, but the bridge had become weak due to the acid, so only a few people could cross at a time. The military controlled the crossing, letting people go in small groups. The crowd was so large that Alice got separated from her family. Before they could cross, the bridge began to break, causing chaos. Alice was trapped between people, and the railing broke. She and others fell into the water, which was not safe due to the acid. Alice started to suffer, and Selma ran to save her mother, but it was too late. Alice died in front of Michael and Selma, devastating them both. Since the bridge was unusable and heavy rain was imminent, the police and military decided to take the remaining people to a safe place in the forest. Everyone was put into military trucks. During the journey, the military received new orders and had everyone get off the vehicles to walk through the forest. The military used red smoke to guide them because the black clouds had returned, signaling the start of acid rain. People panicked and ran in all directions. Michael and Selma got separated from the rest because Selma was weak and tired, unable to run fast. Michael had to carry her and provide support. They kept running and fortunately found a tunnel. Michael quickly opened the way, and they went inside. The rain was so intense that some acid rain started to seep into the tunnel. They had to move quickly, but at one point, Michael fell and was injured due to the acid. After a few hours, they found a way out of the tunnel, and the rain had stopped. Michael couldn't call for help because his cell phone battery was dead. They walked for hours and finally reached a house, but it was empty. Exhausted and in pain, Michael collapsed. Selma shouted for help in the middle of the road. When Michael woke up, he found himself in a house. This house belonged to a woman named Dorothy, who lived there with her son. Dorothy gives Michael some water to drink and some clothes to wear, but she refuses to give food because she has little for herself. Michael does not press her. As he is about to leave, Selma explores the house and notices that all the rooms, especially the roof, are weakened, and the house is at risk of collapsing if it rains. Selma also sees a medical machine, and Dorothy explains that it is for her son, whose kidneys are failing. The machine is keeping him alive. Dorothy asks Michael for help to move the machine to the basement, as the house is not safe. Michael agrees, knowing the danger of the house collapsing due to the acid rain. Dorothy thanks him for moving the machine and offers him some food, also suggesting that they could stay for a few days. However, Michael knows the area is too dangerous due to the constant acid rain affecting not just Europe, but now spreading to Asia as well. Michael takes an axe and tries to enter the neighbor's house, but has to retreat due to the possibility of rain. A dangerous storm arrives, devastating the weak houses, including Dorothy's. Knowing the house won't survive, Dorothy makes the difficult decision to stay in the basement with her son and await their end. For safety, Michael prepares to sleep in the garage. Soon, the roof of the house starts to break and melt, causing the water pipes to burst and the walls to appear as if painted with blood. Terrible smoke emanates from the heater as the house starts collapsing. Michael and Selma wake up, wanting to save Dorothy and her son, but it's too late. Dorothy had locked the door. Michael pulls Selma away as she screams for the boy, wanting to save them, but he pushes her into Dorothy's car and drives away from the garage. Outside, it is dark, and only the car's lights are visible. The heavy rain soon destroys the car's system. The electric car's computer continuously warns of system failures. Michael tries to restart the car multiple times and eventually drives without a destination. They reach an open field covered in acid, where Michael stops the car. Selma tells him they are lost, leading to an argument. Michael shouts at Selma and gets out of the car, only to feel his shoes burning. He returns to the car, but Selma has run away, scared of the burning ground. To save herself, Selma finds a tractor stuck in the ground. Michael searches for her, but the car gets stuck in the mud, forcing him to walk. He reaches Selma in time, carries her on his back, and brings her back to the car. However, Michael's feet are badly burned by the acid, and he becomes unconscious. The next morning, a military trucker finds them and takes them to a camp where Michael receives treatment. Unfortunately, his feet had to be amputated. Selma asks about her uncle, but records show he has no one left due to the rains that killed millions. Selma sits with her father, not yet telling him the devastating news that all his acquaintances are dead. And this is the end of the film.